Donna Vasyli gets 20 years for the murder of her husband. PTC prepares for cellular competition and addresses talks of more layoffs. What the DNA leader thinks of Rollins and Wells joining the FNM. Plus, the Bahamas ranked the 6th most obese nation in the world. We've got those stories and more tonight. I'm Kyle Joaquin, and NB12 starts right now. A Supreme Court judge today sentenced the wife of millionaire podiatrist Philip Vasyli to serve 20 years imprisonment at the Bahamas Department of Corrections for his murder. Donna Vasyli appeared before Acting Chief Justice Stephen Isaacs this morning, where she was formally sentenced. Her attorneys say they intend to file an appeal. Dana Smith reports.
The 20-year sentence comes a month after 55-year-old Donna Vasyli was found guilty of murdering her husband, Phil Vasyli, whose body was found face down in a pool of blood at their Old Fort Bay home back in March. Before handing down his sentence, Acting Chief Justice Stephen Isaacs noted although Vasyli is not a threat to society and has a clean record with no prior convictions, the court cannot look behind the jury's decision, adding there's nothing trivial about murder, which is an indictable offense. Isaacs said the 20-year sentence would include the 5 months Vasyli had already spent in prison. Vasyli showed no emotion as the sentence was read, although she had shed a few tears as she sat in the dock waiting. Likewise, her family, who was present in the gallery for the sentencing, gave no reaction as the sentence was read. Vasyli was formally charged with her husband's murder on March 30th, just days after he was found dead at their home in the exclusive Old Fort Bay community. Officials at the scene said Vasyli could have been dead for more than 7 hours before his body was discovered, with a stab wound to the neck and a pool of blood. On October 1st, after deliberating for nearly 4 hours, a jury found his wife guilty of his murder. Addressing the media after the sentence was handed down, Vasyli's attorney Mario DeSille said Justice Isaacs had to do what he had to do, and they intend to file an appeal.
Well, the judge has to do what he has to do, and then we do what we have to do. I can't tell you, that's totally within the judge's discretion. And having regard to the regime of sentencing, I think he has done the best that he figure he can do.
Has an appeal against conviction already been filed?
Well, we can only file it now. We're on our way to do that.
When asked, DeSille would not say on what grounds they intend to file an appeal of the conviction, though he added Vasyli seems to be in better health and has come to accept certain realities.
She's doing good. Her posture has certainly improved. She has come to accept certain realities until such time when she can be vindicated.
Inside the courtroom, Acting Director of Public Prosecutions Garvin Gaskins told the court the sentencing must fit the crime, suggesting Vasyli served no fewer than 30 years. For his part, DeSille spoke at length before the sentencing, urging the court to take into consideration there are alternatives to imprisonment, suggesting the court instead impose probation with restrictions. He said Vasyli is not the kind of candidate who deserves to be incarcerated, and she has never been involved in anything nefarious. DeSille explained although Vasyli was convicted of a serious crime, the court should not only look at the offense, but the offender, adding that the courts do sometimes make mistakes. He said there are certain cases where the court has to take into consideration the safety of the country, but this is not one of them. He explained she's a first-time offender, is no threat to society, and there's no threat of another crime being committed as retribution, as there could be in other murder cases. As Vasyli sat quietly, occasionally dabbing at tears, DeSille also made note of her deteriorating condition between the time she was arrested to her release on bail, adding she slavishly followed her bail conditions. Vasyli also pointed to a report on Donna Vasyli that was compiled by senior probation officer Janice McKenzie, who also spoke in court today. That report made note of Vasyli's generous and nurturing personality, as is described by friends. It also indicated what Vasyli said to be a sometimes tumultuous relationship with her late husband, who she described as temperamental and abusive, and was reportedly addicted to drugs and alcohol. Their relationship was also reportedly marked by infidelity. Vasyli believed she suffered from battered woman syndrome, as she was always willing to forgive him. The report also indicated Vasyli's children believe she is wrongly accused and have been unable to mourn the death of their father, given their mother's trial. Vasyli herself denies any involvement in her husband's murder, and she feels betrayed by the jurors, who she believes convicted her without evidence. As Vasyli was led away in handcuffs, Vasyli said she has a right to feel that way.
Well, that's her views, and she's entitled to that. But the system, we have to accept certain things with the system, and that's about it.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Following 11 months of negotiations, the Bahamas Communications and Public Offices Union signed an industrial agreement with the Bahamas Telecommunications Company today. The agreement covers April 1st, 2014 through March 2017. Key components of the agreement include employees being given first right of refusal in the event of terminations during the course of the 3-year contract, voluntary separation packages for all staff employed before July 15th, a lump sum payment of $3,200 this year, and another increment in 2016. During the contract signing at BTC's headquarters, BCPOU President Bernard Evans expressed concerns about future redundancies given revenue challenges the company faces, impending competition, and a recent redundancy exercise of nearly 100 employees.
But we don't anticipate any redundancies. There's certainly no justification for it. But again, in the minds of those who sit around the table, who want to make more money, maintain their level of living, their standard of living, they would find the need just to continue to try and cut jobs. And that's why we're going to ask the government that they sit around the table of decision to hold fast and to say enough is enough. You don't need to stop the hemorrhaging. Jobs are not readily available out there, as you know. Okay, and so if you can afford to keep people on the job, like I was being reminded, if you just decide, you know what, I want to make 200 times the base salary, then that means 100 people will be on their job. But it take a benevolent person to think like that. And that's where the union come in the gap. We stand strong and try to ensure that workers get a just due.
He said the union sought job security for its members as a priority in the agreement.
The key benefit was, as we stated earlier, given that there's a climate of downsizing and reshaping, restructuring, right? The VSEP, the guaranteed VSEP for separation, if unfortunately the company has to make another, round of redundancies, the surety that those persons impacted will get this VSEP. While we hope that it would have been better, given the circumstances, we believe that we are satisfied with that package. And to add to that, those who are impacted also have first right of refusal to continue. If BTC wants to continue carrying on that particular product, that those persons impacted will have the opportunity to form themselves into a company.
Noting that CWC is establishing a new call center in Jamaica, Evans encouraged the government to monitor the outsourcing of Bahamian jobs. He said workers fear arriving at work one morning to find their name on a list. BTC CEO Leon Williams said BTC will soon be faced with competition and lost $10 million this year due to WhatsApp, which enables customers with smartphones to send messages and voice notes and make WhatsApp calls free of charge. He said officials have tried to find a way to block WhatsApp.
Today, it's almost toll grade. That's the challenge at BTC and all companies have. How do you block, outright block? I would suggest to you that at Canto this year, in Miami with 17 ICT ministers from the Caribbean, they said to Cable and Wireless and to Digicel, listen, as far as they're concerned, WhatsApp is a safety net for their citizens. This isn't the rest of the Caribbean. If they went ahead and legislated against WhatsApp, they will be out of power. So they're not prepared to do it. So this is a fight that we have to just find a way around how we're going to mitigate WhatsApp.
As per the agreement, the union will be consulted at least 9 months before any proposal for redundancies takes effect. Employees will be entitled to 5 weeks' pay for each completed year of service for a maximum of 80 weeks. Williams called on the union to work with management to ensure the contingent of BTC workers survive. Well, Democratic National Alliance leader Granville McCartney said today that he stands by his belief that without a doubt, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis made promises to Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andrew Rawlins and Bambootown MP Renwood Wells in order for them to join the Free National Movement. And he said he finds it remarkable that they switched parties once again. Simone Davis has the story.
Of course. Of course. Come on, please. There must have been some type of promises made to both individuals.
The DNA leader says he finds it striking that Dr. Minnis claims that no promises were made to Rawlins and Wells. He also asserted that he thinks the crossover was nothing more than a political stunt, and Minnis only accepted the two to his party to secure his political position. He said he thinks both Rawlins and Wells were promised nominations for the seats in the constituency they already represent in the next general election.
We all know what's going on in the F&M, which is unfortunate. The division in the party, the plans to have Dr. Minnis removed as leader of the official opposition. And it was a move, I guess, for the good doctor to secure his position and not be ousted as the leader.
McCartney said it's unbelievable that these are the same two men who previously stated that they would not join the F&M because they did not agree with Minnis's leadership. He said Rawlins and Wells are too busy playing political musical chairs, and he believes they would soon be a part of another political party, suggesting that it would not be the DNA.
Their track record, they could be moving to another party within the next year. That's the way it seems. You know, I go back to standing by your principles, even if you have to stand alone. And unfortunately, that has not been exercised by those two gentlemen. They have moved from the NDP, the PLP, and now the F&M. And we need persons in this country who has principles to run this country.
McCartney also shared his thoughts on the issue surrounding the letter of intent, stating that Wells should still be held accountable for signing the LOI, and Minnis is now also responsible for finding out exactly what happened.
I think it goes further than Mr. Wells now. Mr. Wells is now a part of the F&M. The leader of the opposition would have taken Mr. Wells on. I have no doubt that the leader of the opposition, prior to taking Mr. Wells on, would have determined what transpired surrounding the LOI. And so now, knowing that the leader of the opposition was adamant about Mr. Wells coming clean, adamant about being transparent and open, I would ask whether or not the leader of the opposition knows now.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
When NB12 returns, the Bahamas ranked number 6 in the world in obesity. Stay tuned.